So this Emulation SD card for the Steam Deck OLED that also works for the older LCD model is epic, with over 51,000 games packed onto the 512GB card for a retro gaming paradise. Let's look at how to enter this system called Batocera on the SD card, what systems are on it, testing out some games that you requested, 5 help tips to get the very best from it, details on where to get it, and finally whether you should get one. So let's dive straight in, and when you open the package there are no instructions with it, so it can be a little bit confusing on how to use it. It's super simple though, as we just need to completely shut down the Steam Deck, enter the SD card, keep holding down the volume up button and also quickly press the power on button. In this BIOS setup screen, head to Boot Manager on the upper right, select the SD card option right here, and after a moment this gorgeous comic scrap interface will load up, jam-packed with all these incredible retro systems ready to play. And it's super easy to get back into SteamOS at any time by simply keep holding down the minus volume button and also the power button for a few seconds. The boot manager will then appear, so we just select the SteamOS option, then we're back into SteamOS. So just before we look at some games that you requested, let's quickly blast through all the systems to see where these 51,000 games come from. So we've got 2,128 games on the multiple arcade machine emulator, 1,953 games on the Sufame Turbo that I've never actually heard of. WonderSwan has 114 games. WonderSwan Color has 91 games. Vectrex has 46 games, that I think was a bit before my time. PC Engine has 298 games. Super Graphics has just 5 games. Nintendo Game & Watch has over 50 games. This was a classic. NES has almost 3,000 games, which is pretty much the whole of the library. The Disk System has over 200 games. Again, wasn't really too sure of this one. The Game Boy has 1,375 games, which is pretty much the whole library. Super Nintendo, my favourite console, over 2,000 games. Again, that's pretty much the whole of the library. Super Game Boy, over 1,000 games. The Nintendo Stellaview with 123 games. The Virtual Boy with 33 games. You guys hate this device. Nintendo 64 with 437 games. Pretty much the whole library, I think. The Game Boy Color with 1,141 games. Again, pretty much the whole library. The GameCube with 65 games. Such a great console. Game Boy Advance with 1,974 games, again pretty much the whole of the library. Pokemon Mini with 43 games, again I think just these are kind of classic Pokemon games. The Wii with just 2 games, including Mario Kart Wii. The 3DO, again I don't think this was a favourite console for a lot of you great viewers. Beats of Rage, which I think is just a selection of like kind of beat 'em ups, like arcade beat 'em ups. Atomic Wave with 24 games. The Sega SG-1000 with 97 games. The Sega Master System with 442 games, that is a classic console. Sega Mega Drive with 1,341 games. What a console that was. Sega Game Gear with 406 games. I own this and it took so many batteries, like 6 AA batteries burned through. Sega Mega CD with 50 games. The Sega Saturn with 27 games. The Mega Drive 32X with 37 games. Sega Model 3 with 1 game. Dreamcast with 42 games. This is a bit of a favourite with some of you great viewers. And I'll go through each of these games so you can see exactly how many games are in this system. Sega Naomi, 55 games. Never heard of that. Neo Geo with 151 games. The Neo Geo CD with 49 games. The Neo Geo Pocket with 82 games. The Neo Geo Pocket Color with 89 games. The PlayStation with 99 games. I'll go through this system so you can see exactly what games are on here. A couple of Final Fantasy. Some of the OG Gran Turismo. Need for Speed, a couple of those games. A couple of Spyro games on there. A couple of Tomb Raider games, classics. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 through 4. PS2, there are 70 games. Prince of Persia: Sands of Time, I loved that game. Oh, what a great game. Colin McRae Rally 3, wow. GTA 3, Guitar Hero. A couple of Need for Speed again. PSP, 96 games. Fun fact is that I never owned a PSP and I don't know why, because I think I would have loved one. So it's so great to go back and be able to have the chance to play all these classic PSP games again. Again, GTA on there. PS3 with only 3 games. And there we go. Let's now look at some games that you requested on a recent community poll here on the channel. Let's start with Crazy Taxi 2 on the Dreamcast as requested by Juan RAMOSB.4029. I did have to go into settings to change the accelerator to the A button as it didn't seem to recognise the right trigger. But when I did this, man, this game is such a blast to play. Two things really struck out to me loading this up. First is the amazing rock soundtrack, with one of my favourite bands growing up, Offspring, having an awesome track in the game. And the second was just how tight the controls are in controlling the taxi as you're weaving in and around traffic. Manic Miner on the ZX Spectrum was suggested by Steve T0. Now it did have a weird control schema and I think we may need to either add a keyboard or just mess around a little bit in the settings, but thanks for suggesting this proper old school game, Steve. Next, our awesome regular viewer Michael E. Mall suggested Contra on the NES. You know, I just love how, like in the incredible Emu deck, we get the side panels presenting the console, which really is an awesome touch. And I just want to state how incredible these games are to play on the OLED, as those super deep blacks that the OLED screen offers contrasting with the vibrant colours, it just makes these retro games look so good. Zach the Gamer 6145 requested an arcade game, so let's play one of the very first games that I ever played called Bomb Jack. Now I haven't played this game in like 35 years and wow, that's why emulation accessories like this incredible SD card are so good, as the nostalgia just comes flooding back. I really do feel like I'm 8 again, playing these games in my mum's house growing up. This is just amazing. There's 3 systems I do want to try out very quickly. The first one is the Sega Saturn and Daytona USA. Wow, the graphics have come on so much since this. Next is PS2, and let's just have a look at Spider-Man 2. And Darth_Dundane106 and Lil Misery 1643 both requested a Spider-Man game. Sometimes it does go a little bit glitchy, but PS2 games are definitely very playable, and I can see this being a pretty fun game to play. And finally, out of morbid curiosity, let's have a look at the only decent game on the Virtual Boy, which is Wario Land. Wow, and as we know, the Virtual Boy was an absolute disaster of a system, but playing this is fascinating, and you really do feel like having a video game history lesson, and playing this only half decent game for the Virtual Boy is something I think that every gamer should experience. So here are my top 5 tips when using this SD card, and tip 1 is that it can get super overwhelming in finding a specific game amongst the 51,000 on offer. So to search for any game, we simply hold down X, type whatever game we want, and voila, we can now go straight to it and enjoy it. This really does make life so much easier. Linked to this act 2 is to use the favourite function so that we can keep track of our most played games. And for this we just simply need to hold down the Y on a game so it gets its star next to it, and then we can just jump straight into these in the dedicated favourite section in the main menu. For tip 3 is that some of us may not like this awesome comic style for whatever reason, so we can press start, head into the user interface settings, go to the theme set section, and there's a couple to choose from here, such as this theme called Carbon, which has a much more minimalistic and Switch-like feel if you do find the comic default just a little bit too in your face perhaps. Tip 4 is an essential one, that when we're in our game and want to quit, back to the game menu, we simply press select and start together at the same time, just like we're doing EmuDeck, and we're back to the menu. And finally, tip 5 is another essential one regarding saving our games automatically when we exit out. So let's press start, head into game settings, and scroll down to auto save load and toggle this to on. And so now when we quick exit by pressing the select and start buttons together and exit out, the next time we load up that game, we'll start at the exact same place. Neat. So should you get this incredible Emulation SD card? My recommendation is that if you're into emulation and love playing retro games, whether it's a case of the intrigue of video game history like playing the Virtual Boy, or whether playing all those amazing childhood games that shaped our childhoods and fill us with golden nostalgia, then I think that this SD card is absolutely essential, and I cannot recommend it more. Especially more so when you consider the fact that this 512GB SD card on Amazon costs about £40 in dollars. So for about an extra £30 dollars more, you get 51,000 games all fully set up and ready to play that would have taken us tens and tens of hours to find the ROMs, downloading them, scraping the artwork, so it's incredibly great value. I've included a link to the JM online store on the AliExpress website in the description where you can purchase yours. And a special shout out to the amazing Latasha and the great team at JM Online for letting me test this out. I'd love to hear if you're thinking of getting one, and also which retro games will you play first. And also I'd love to hear what retro games shaped your childhood, so let us know in the comments. And as a thank you for watching this far, I'd love to share this awesome quote. Don't complicate life. Missing somebody? Call. Want to meet up? Invite. Want to be understood? Explain. Have questions? Ask. Don't like something? Say it. Like something? State it. Want something? Ask for it. Love someone? Tell them. Keep your life simple. I know I'm guilty of this, that so often we make life so much harder than it needs to be. For example, if a job, friendship, or relationship is getting us down, we have the power to change our situation with a simple choice or action. So stay encouraged today, guys. Hey, hit the thumb if you like this, subscribe if you're new and love this. And if you want to know how to set up Xbox Remote Play and cloud gaming on the OLED to play the incredible Senua's Saga Hellblade 2, then check this out. I appreciate every single one of you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.